श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Everybody has a copy of this? Yes? Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, that would be nice, so that I don't have to strain back there. Perfect. Thank you, Sahadev. Oh, quite a lot. Yeah. 6. Yeah. It will come. Right now, just listen. Don't worry about the copy. Yeah. Yesterday we had a very nice treatise on freedom by Swamiji. What freedom means and how freedom is something that is experienced, sought and experienced within, because if we are looking for the concept of mokśa, which is the Sanskrit word for freedom, in the world or in anything that we contact, we may as well just set ourselves up for a life of disappointments. Series of disappointments, because that is what happens. What else will happen? Because the Jagat, or what we consider outside to myself, I think it needs to be a little louder, Sahadev, if it is possible. Yeah. So what I consider outside of whatever this me is, we find that it is not at all controllable. Nothing you can control. You can't even control the weather. That's why it's called weather, because you don't know whether it's going to be sunny or whether it is going to rain. That's why it's called weather. And so you can't control the weather. Oh, but I have an AC and I can change the dial. I can make it up or down. And the day you say that, it goes kaput, meaning it doesn't work. Okay? Yeah. The moment you feel that, and that is the day it decides not to cooperate at all. This is what happens. And then, as we grow in experience, and as we grow in age, why do you have to say both of them? Because age and experience are two different things. One would think that as one ages, one gains knowledge and experience, which is here viveka, discrimination, all these things, but that does not necessarily follow, does it? As one grows in experience, as one grows in age, one finds that there are fewer and fewer and fewer things that one does control. What can you control? Nothing. First you thought it's the outside world, whatever that means, within quotes. Then you thought it is people. That's why people love having pets, because they are easier to control than human beings. That's the reality about having pets. They love you no matter what, and then you say sit. Of course, you have to have a treat in the hand, then they will sit down. Yeah. You say roll over, they roll over. You try doing this to the significant other, it's not going to work. Sit. Why? Can't even tell your child, sit. Maybe for the first few years, till they are toddlers, it will work. After that, they will say, why? You sit. Why should I sit? So, nothing you can control. You can't control people. You can't control anything. The 5 elements are beyond the control. You can't control how the sun shines, when it comes out of the clouds. You can't control the air that we breathe. You can't control so many things. And then that realm of no control comes closer and closer and closer. And then you find that you can't even control your own body. You cannot control how it behaves. Why is there such a thing called blood pressure? So that it can go up. That is the answer. That's the only reason there is such a thing called blood pressure. So that it goes up. But thankfully, what goes up must come down. So eventually it also comes down. Nothing more to it. You can't control the blood flowing in the veins. You can't control anything that happens. You cannot control your own body. And this is something that, we have grown. We have not just aged in the last 2 years. We have grown because this pandemic has taught us this in a very, very immediate way. You can't control this. You can't control anything. You can just be mindful. You can take preventive measures. And you can do those kinds of things. But there is no such thing called the ability to control anything that happens either within the body or, for that matter, the mind. That's why I say the only thing you can say for sure about the mind is what? Never mind. That's all you can say. That's all that you can say. Nothing more you can say. You can't control the mind. That's why there is anger. That's why there is longing. That's why there is fear. That's why there is sorrow. Can't control the mind. Nobody wants to be sad. If we take a survey, how many people here want to be sad? Nobody will raise their hands. Nobody wants to be sad. Sadness happens, and suddenly one finds one is sad. Suddenly one finds that one has lost it, so to speak, in terms of anger. Can't control the mind, can't control the senses. A wonderful smell of pakoras wafts in, and then what? And then, of course, all the attention goes there. Pakoras means some delicious fried fritters. And that's what it is. And so, nothing can be controlled. Nothing at all. Very, 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 very few things. Zero things. Nothing is in my hands. Oh, this must be the occasion for despondency. Not at all. This is not an occasion for despondency. Not according to the Shastra. Shastra means teaching, Veda. Not according to the Veda. In fact, this realization, this understanding is something to be celebrated. It's a cause for celebration. Why? Because it is the doorway, it's the pathway to the discovery of many things about the I that I thought I knew, that I thought I understood, that I thought I did not like. Because that is what brings us here to the hallowed halls of ashrams and places of learning. Because I have a problem with myself. That is what brings one here. If one is not aware of any problems about oneself, then there is nothing to seek. There is no seeking. As they say, ignorance is bliss. Here we have to add, ignorance of ignorance is bliss. Ignorance cannot be bliss. Ignorance is painful. That's why one heavily relies on Google for all kinds of things. Ignorance is extremely painful. It's on the tip of the mind, it's on the tip of the tongue, a name of a restaurant, something very mundane. Name of a movie that you're discussing with somebody. You know the plot, you know the main characters, but you're not getting the name. And you can't stand yourself. Fear comes. Am I having early onset of dementia? What's going on? Google, that's why, is everybody's best friend. Along with the phone, which is right there, and you can say, okay. And so ignorance is not bliss, can never be bliss. Therefore, we have to say, ignorance of ignorance is bliss. And nowhere, is it embodied better than in so many different varieties, masses of people who are going about their lives not knowing that nothing is under one's control. This is what is the difference between a person who is striving for control and a person who grows into being happy after losing this striving self. A person who knows that this striving is the cause of shock, unhappiness, anger, fear, is a very blessed person. According to the definition of what constitutes a blessed person in the Shastra, in the teaching. Because a person who is blessed is the person who is ready to stop seeking to make the world controllable. And why are we talking about control? We are talking about control because there is a connection, an assumption that the more things I can control, the more contented I am. That my happiness, and happiness is mokśa, it is equated with freedom. My freedom, my happiness, my room to grow, to be, to express myself is contingent upon how much I can control. That is the hallmark in the worldly state of affairs. That is supposedly the hallmark of a successful person. A successful person is having so many people under one's control, so many companies and products and countries under one's control. This is the hallmark of a successful person. And like sheep, people try to emulate with this kind of a flock mentality. Because these are the role models, people who control all kinds of things and have a semblance of what I think I want. they appear to be happy. At least in public, it doesn't take a lot to smile and wave, doesn't take a lot. And one sees appearances. Appearances are deceptive, no doubt, but appearances are extremely compelling also. And so one sees these appearances, and immediately there is this feeling, I want to be like them. In fact, one is socialized to be like the person who controls the maximum amount of things in her or his life, as a key to freedom, as a key to happiness. This is not good news. This is how the world goes. This is how the masses go. And the Bhagavad Gita describes this very, very nicely in chapter 3. Yadyad acharati shresthaha tattadeva itaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Shrestha means a person who is considered exalted in society. May or may not be exalted, but everybody looks up to that person. That person is called Shrestha. And so the Shrestha behaves in certain ways. And exactly how the Shrestha behaves, so does the world, the flock of people who are looking to be saved, who are looking for some kind of a Messiah, who are looking for something external to oneself, other than oneself, who can just come and take them out of some kind of a difficulty, misery, sorrow, fear, all these things. Oh, look at that one. He seems to be happy. Look at her. She seems to be successful. I'm going to model my life just like them. The natural thinking. Why? Because they seem to be controlling a lot of things and they seem to be happy. This is how I am going to model my life. Very sad. Because that is what is available in terms of role models. And this, the Bhagavad Gita then says that whatever the person initiates, then all the other people unthinkingly, unmindfully keep on following. This is how it is. But there are a few, very few, who understand this particular truth that is expressed elsewhere in a quotation from the Veda that we chant in front of the temple, in front of the shrine every single day. Na karmana na prajaya dhane na tyage naike amritatvama nashuhu. Na karmana, not by action. Because action is our best friend. Because all this controlling and striving, how are you going to do other than by action, correct? Yeah, so action is very dear to one. Because action is the manifestation of control. Through control, through action, one manifests the extent of control, one strives for control. You can't drop the action. You can't drop the actor, very, very difficult. But here is a verse, a mantra from the Upanishad, which says, na karmana, not by action. And then sometimes one cannot exercise control completely. And so one tries to live one's life, whatever one could not control, through the lives of one's children. This is very, very common. And So first one tries to control the children. That doesn't work at all. Anybody who has children can vouch for that. So then what happens? Then one tries to live one's life vicariously through them. Please study this. Please do this. Please follow this particular vocation in life. Why? The child who is now 25 says, why? There is no answer. That's why the adult says, because I said so. It never works. But the answer is there. Even though it may not be very easy to grab a hold of, it may not be very easy to articulate. The answer is, because I couldn't do this and I wanted to do this. Why did you want to do this? Because I thought my happiness, my moksha, my freedom is contingent upon this, doing this. Therefore, I can't do this, you have to do this. What a burden. Therefore, this mantra says, na karmana, not by action, na prajaya. Praja means children. And if you say, I'm heaving a sigh of relief, never had children, don't know how to spell them, don't worry, this applies to you also. Me, but I never had children, I don't have children. Yes, but whatever you consider your proteges, this includes also the four-footed furry variety, they are your children. Whatever you have, some kind of a relationship where you are the bestower of somebody else's need, care. Even a plant that you water every day, that also comes under this. So you don't find this, the subject matter of this retreat, you do not find by action, you do not find by praja. That's why it says praja. I think the word progeny must have come from the word praja. So you don't find by progeny. Praja also includes subjects. Anybody that is subjected, to you, meaning you are in a position of caring for them. Na prajaya. Na karmana, na prajaya. Oh, but dhanena. Ooh, I got it. Dhanam means wealth. Okay, not by action, not by progeny do I understand this. And what is this? This means that I'm already what I seek. I'm already the happiness, the freedom that I seek. I do not get this by action or by progeny. Dhanena. Can this be got by wealth? Say no, so we can move on. Yeah. You know how this is going. You know the trend already. Yeah. Can this be got by wealth? No. So, even though in the mantra it says, na karmana, na prajaya, dhanena, you have to add a na, no, there before dhanena. Otherwise one will think, oh, this is better than I thought. Okay, so I just have to get very wealthy and everything will be taken care of. Na dhanena, not by wealth. Why not by wealth? Because all the people who have the means appear to be very, very free. They are free enough to buy whatever they want. And that is that is a marker of moksha. One can think like this. But, however, we know that that is not true. It doesn't even ring true. A very beautiful dialogue in one of the Upanishads called the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad illustrates this extremely well. And in this dialogue, it's a dialogue between a husband and a wife who have now suddenly turned into teacher and disciple, guru and disciple. Husband turned guru is a sage by the name of Yajnavalkya. The wife turned disciple is also a sage by the name of Maitreyi. Yeah. And in this dialogue, Yajnavalkya is about to do what this text tells us all to do without delay. And what is that? Leave all these things because they are not coming to your aid. And to put it, bluntly, renounce. When? Right now, don't wait. Yajnavalkya is about to take off for a life, for a contemplative life in the forest. He loves not because he can't stand his wife, that's not why he's leaving. Not because he has some disagreements. He's leaving because he has reached a stage of outgrowing his marriage. In fact, that in the Hindu tradition is a wonderful outcome of a successful marriage. A successful marriage is that which is outgrown. If it's not outgrown, you keep groaning, that's all. Yeah, you groan, that's all it is. Only two options. Outgrow means you outgrow the need for the other person. And this is how it was in ancient times, even 20 years ago, 50 years ago, even now perhaps in rural areas. You just go and you see the life of how elderly, grandma, grandpa, how they lead their lives. They are, he has his own life, she has her own life. He has his own friends and people that he hangs out with. She has her own people that she hangs out with. Occasionally they see each other. And there are certain, rules of respect because of which they cannot take each other's names due to respect. And so they just nod their head, make a grunting sound. You're still alive. Okay, good. That's all. This is a successful marriage. Instead of saying, oh, you're not giving me the space to do what I want, she doesn't bother with that. She goes ahead and does what she wants. Yeah. And he also doesn't say, you are constraining me too much. He goes ahead and does what he wants. This is successful because they don't need validation from one another. Yajnavalkya recognizes that his marriage has reached that stage. But sannyasa, renunciation, is not something, you can just take off. You have to make sure that the people under your care are provided for. This includes spouse, mother. So you have to get their permission. Make sure they're okay. So he says, I'm going off from here. I'm pushing off from here, he says literally. But don't worry, Maitreyi. I'm a very wealthy man. And whatever I have is going to you. You are going to have so much wealth. You'll be very comfortable. And I'm just going to the forest for a life of roots, fruits, and contemplation. She's a worthy student. She's not bedazzled by all the wealth he's leaving her. He says, she's not at all flattered. She says, I just have one question. Can I ask a question? Sure, please ask a question. What is the question? All this wealth that you're leaving me, will I get that in search of which you are going to the forest after leaving all this wealth behind? Very pertinent question. Not so fast, you can't fob me off with this wealth. And then you, because it makes sense. If you are leaving something, when does somebody leave something? When it is of no use. And you're giving it to me. You're giving me something useless. And you're taking something which is the knowledge of immortality you are keeping with yourself. And she says that as much. Yenaham na amritasyam. That wealth by which I cannot be immortal, when I cannot know that I don't need anything other than this, then aham kim kuryam? What will I do with that? What will I do with that? So don't you see that I am step in step with you? Don't you think that you are patronizing me when you leave this wealth? This is all comes in Acharya Sureshwara's Vartika, where he fills in the blanks of the Upanishad, left by the Upanishad. Very beautiful. He says, don't, patronize me. Don't condescend to me by saying, okay, here is a hanky, wipe your eyes. Here is some money, go buy yourself something nice. This is not going to work with me. You have to teach me that which you are in search of, that which you want to stabilize in your own life, that for which you are leaving everything. That is why the mantra here says, na dhanena, not by wealth. You see, this is the beauty of the Upanishad. There is no internal contradiction. Upanishad means the primary sources for this knowledge. And there is no external contradiction either. Each Upanishad and other Upanishad will agree exactly the same. There is a synergy. Tattu samanvayat in the fourth Brahma Sutra expresses this synergy. That no matter what bodies or what verses or what mantras, what portions of the Upanishad you look at, you think about, it will always be in agreement. It does not contradict itself, and nothing can contradict it. No experience, nothing that you know, it does not contradict what you know from other means of knowledge. It itself is the pair of eyes that I need to see the truth of myself so that I can transform from a wanting, miserable, seeking, striving individual to one who is contented, the one who is already mukta, free, while even in this body-mind complex which is full of limitations. That knowledge which makes the limitations into as though limitations is what is called the knowledge of the self. So now, na karmana, not by action, na prajaya, not by children, pets, etc. Then, na dhanena, not by wealth. Oh, this is kind of closing in. How do I get this? How do all the options are going, even as I speak? How do I get this? Because I thought, oh, by action, no. By trust fund, no. By children, no. Oh, what am I to? What is there? How? Tyagena. Tyagena. Here you don't say na tyagena. Tyagena. Tyaga means giving up, letting go. So here is one is born a control queen, a control king, although babies, control prince and control princess. That is better, okay? Then one grows into control king and control queen. So one is born into this sense of control. And even a 3-month-old knows the power of its lungs, it has the power to call its mother 3 rooms away. Call the caregiver. All it has to do is open its mouth and scream. Not stop, that's all. And then it knows it also wants to control its surroundings. It also wants to not let the mother have a life. What's that? Free time? It's overrated. Well, what are you talking about? Yeah, I need you for the rest of my life. Be right here. Hold me, love me, play with me. And so this one that has been born into this sense of control as the only source of happiness, the only source of contentment, is given now the opposite teaching. Let go. Let go? What do you mean? I have mastered the art of what? Of control. I have a PhD in control. Controlology. I have a PhD in controlology. Everybody does. Is there such a word? Now there is. I have a PhD in controlology. I have controlled this, that, and I can control some more. I can manipulate and milk my happiness. Why are you giving me the opposite teaching? Two reasons. The first reason is in the form of a question. How has that worked out for you? The control, the manipulation. If you ask anybody, especially anybody who is in the ashram, they will say, in fact, this is the answer to everything. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know this before I came into this country. I thought, what is this, It's like somebody falling off a precipice. That's what I visualized. But it is kind of same. Similarly. So and so. How is life? How is the job? Pay is good, commute is bad. The boss is a control king. How are the children? Then it speeds up a little bit. How is the marriage? It develops into a tremor. You have to take a pill to calm it down. So that is the first reason. The first reason is in the form of a question. Reason for what? The reason that the Shastra says, let go. You've controlled enough. Because how has that worked out for you? If each time you have to keep doing this? Not very well, obviously. And as I said earlier, understanding that it is not working out very well is the greatest blessing. So that is the first reason. It hasn't worked out very well. That's why let go. And the second reason to let go is, in fact, the teaching. What is the teaching? Until you let go, you don't know that what you seek is what you are. What you seek is already gained. It is called so many things in so many languages, in so many religious denominations and theologies. Elysium, another word for heaven. Heaven itself. Moksha, if you come eastwards. Nirvana, these are all synonyms. What the Western theology means by heaven is a synonym for moksha, freedom. Nirvana, from the Buddhist and Jain traditions. Then, self-knowledge, Atma-jnanam, Brahma-jnanam, knowledge of Brahman, or Atma-vidyā, brahmavidyā, same thing. And then, what else? Moksha, Ananda, all these are synonyms. Amrita, Amritatvam. Amritatvam means immortality. While living in this body that is speeding into, that is running headlong into the arms and the embrace of Lord Yama, the Devata of death, still one is free, one is whole, one understands, one is not subject to mortality. That is also another expression of moksha. These are all synonyms. Tyagena eke. Eke means few, ones. We have the word ones? Yeah. Tyagena eke amritatvam anashuhu anashire. These are the ones that are few. A few are blessed enough to understand the equation of what it takes to be free. To be free, you don't expect everything else to let go. You let go first. You let go, then everything automatically lets go. And this is a blessing. To know that I cannot control anything, even though it appears to be a cause for misery, is actually a blessing. Another text in the tradition, the Viveka Chudamani, says, this blessing is very hard to come by because it is contingent upon certain things aligning themselves very well, properly, which again you cannot control. Therefore, the Viveka Chudamani, which is translated as, the title is translated as the head jewel, the crest jewel of wisdom. Very beautiful text. It says, Durlabham, very difficult to gain, Trayam etat. These three things are very, very difficult to gain. And all of them start with M, okay? Moksha also starts with M. These three things are very difficult to gain. Oh, really? What are they? Manushyatvam, human birth. Very difficult to gain. No, but I am a human being and we see that the population is increasing all the time. What do you mean it's difficult to gain? Because we are looking only the short range. We are not looking at it from the standpoint of all living beings called jivas. We are not looking at it from that standpoint at all. So Manushyatvam means human body. And why is the human body important? Because here alone two things can happen. Here alone the sense of bondage can be experienced and the desire for freedom can be expressed. I can't stand myself. In order to say that, you have to have a human body. You look at all the other animals, does any animal say, I can't stand myself? Absolutely not. The dog is happy however it is. And there is such a thing called, what is that called? Curly dog, poodle. Yeah. And the poodle is pruned by its parents to look like a tree. Or a cheerleader with a lot of pom-poms. You know, poodle doesn't say, I need this kind of a haircut. There is no self, what's the word for it? There is no self-judgment. The poodle doesn't say, what have you done to me? I'm not going for a walk. I don't want to be seen in public like this. No, it goes. completely oblivious that it has a kind of a stylized haircut. To please whom, nobody knows. A sheep mentality again. Oh, that poodle looks like this, my poodle also should look like this. The dog has no judgment centered on itself. No judgment whatsoever. It doesn't say I need to get a PhD because otherwise without a degree nobody will respect me. It doesn't say that. You don't find it enrolled in the university. But people will, this may be a question tonight, so therefore I'm answering it in advance. People say to me, my dog takes your online classes, Swaminiji. It does not need my classes. It is already free. You are sitting there, that's why it is sitting next to you. That's all it is. So, the dog neither needs a degree nor a pedigree. It doesn't have a complex, I'm a mongrel. Mongrel am I. Let me compose a doggerel to show that I'm a mongrel. It doesn't do all that. Nothing. And these dog shows, they're not for the dogs. They're for the human being. That's why when that certificate with that ribbon comes, the owner quickly takes it. It is not given to the dog. The dog will roll in it and eat it up. It will assimilate it. It's for the owner, who is a human being or thinks he or she is one, okay? So Manushyatvam is very interesting. So the human life, with all its blessings and its challenges. What is the blessing? The blessing is the ability, as we have talked about, to know that I am not in charge. That is the blessing, to be able to find out that my so-called free will is of absolutely no use here. Is of absolutely no use. So-called free will, what am I trying to do? Nothing. I can't want, whatever I want I can't get. Whatever I don't want, I get in double measure. Comes in double measure. This is the problem. And so this is the blessing. And the blessing comes on the heels of a challenge. What is the challenge? The challenge is, I hate myself. I don't like who I am. I want more. I want to be more accomplished. I want to be more compassionate. I want to be more together. I want to be more famous. I want to be more well-known. I want to be more rich. I want to be more happy. This is what it is. More, more, more. These are the two reasons why the human body alone is a vehicle for this knowledge. So the first condition is Manushyatvam. How does one get a human body? That is also an interesting question. What do I do to get a human body? Well, I don't know how I got a human body in the last life, because who knows, right? But how do I get a human body in the next life? Well, the real answer to that question is, I don't plan to have a next life because I'm coming here to study. But if there is a next life, so that I ensure that I am born in a human body, the only thing one has to do is desire this knowledge a lot. Want it badly. In fact, all the wants that one has, one takes all that wanting and funnels it into this big want. Why? Because self-knowledge is the way to non-want. All the wanting in life is to discover oneself as a non-wanting I, And the non-wanting I, which is already an established fact, svatas siddha vastu, cannot be gained unless and until the knowledge of the I as non-wanting is understood. So it's almost like a catch-22. I want to be the non-wanting I, and in order to do that, I have to understand that I am a non-wanting I. And in order to do that, I have to give up the interloper, the imposter called the wanting I. How is this? How do you say the wanting I is an imposter? What's wrong with my desires? What's wrong with what I want? Why should I give it up? How should I give it up? Because it is not intrinsic to you. The wanting I is not an intrinsic entity, because if it was really you, then it should be you all the time. Yep, that's pretty much me. You have just described me. I am wanting all the time. What about when you go to sleep? That is my question. Either in the Vedanta class, where I tell you some of the best and the most delicious sleep comes, or outside the class, at night when I go to sleep. What happens? Where did all the wants go? Where did the desire to control go? The person who had the fists like this while awake, clenched, in sleep, lets go. In sleep, the person is Tyaga Murti, an embodiment of letting go. The jaws slacken, one can be drooling, has no awareness at all, no self-consciousness, no want. One is snoring, and even if one is the greatest musician in the waking state, when one snores, one is off pitch. Yeah. And no self-consciousness about that either. What is this? So how can you say you are a wanting person? But then, which is real? Is the non-wanting I real? Or is the wanting I real? Or we live in an age of compromise in Kali Yuga. Why not say, I'm a little bit of a wanting I and a little bit of a non-wanting I? That's like somebody saying, I'm a little bit pregnant and I'm a little bit not pregnant. It's not possible. Either one is wanting or one is non-wanting. The answer to this question, which is real, is very evident in the heart. In the yearning, in the longing of the heart, in that primal longing. What is the longing? I want to be a non-wanting person. I want to be contented, I want to be whole, I want to be limitless. Meaning, all these wants are really to not be longing. How to not be longing? By belonging to everything that there is. That is how to not be longing all the time. This is something which is very, very beautiful. And so the human life is the perfect life for this knowledge, because herein I look at my incapacity to control things and produce what is called contentment, happiness. And in that incapacity, that understanding, the awareness of this incapacity becomes a very wonderful segue into seeking the seeker. Up till now I was seeking things other than the seeker, myself. Seeking the seeker. This is the next direction. The next M that is described in the Viveka Chudamani. First, human life. Second, seeking the seeker. turning my mind to understand that I have to seek myself, the truth of myself. This is called mumukshutvam, from mumuch, to be free, to free. That's the same root verb from which moksha is derived, and the word mumukshutvam is desiderative, which means the desire to be free, mumukshutvam. Everybody has the desire to be free. So what's the difference? Everybody has the desire to be free. Even an ant wants to be free of death. It doesn't want to come to an end. A mosquito desires to be free of the palm of your hand because it knows you'll give it instant moksha and make it into a chutney. It doesn't want that at all. Everything desires to be free. So what's the difference between mumukshutvam, the desire to be free in general, and here what is described as mumukshutvam? Here there is a mumukshutvam with a difference. Here the mumukshu, the seeker of freedom, has started to seek the self. That U-turn has been accomplished. U-turn means you are the one that has turned. Okay, that's why it's called U-turn. You have to turn. And in fact, in India, we have so many rivers. It's a land of rivers, like any other country. It's a land of rivers. And the river, as it flows, sometimes in order to avoid a blockage or avoid some, hills or something like that, or maybe some upward slope, sometimes turns back to the source from where it came. And that place, when it turns back to the source, is a place of pilgrimage, is a place where puja, worship is done. Because we tell the river, oh mother, in the same way that you have turned to yourself, to face yourself at this spot, bless me so that I can accomplish this U-turn. Bless me to turn towards my source instead of seeking everything in the resource outside of myself. This is mumukshutvam truly described in this verse. Durlabham trayameva etat. Three things are very, very, very difficult to gain. One is a human birth, which requires a desire to know. So already one has come. If one is in a human body, one has the perfect body for this understanding. Even though the desire to know the self is somewhere buried under an avalanche of all kinds of desires. Useless desires, horrible desires, endless desires. In fact, this is the only desire. So the human body, a vehicle for this freedom. Then, what is the next one? The auspicious turning towards oneself, which is very auspicious because it is not easy to accomplish. Because look at all the distractions. Look at how easy to have the moving index finger point to that one as the problem, this thing as the problem. If this one was not there, I would be free. If that one didn't behave like I did not want, then I would be free. If the third one was not there, then I would be free. And now the moving finger, just folds in fact. In fact, it folds in to have this chin mudra, the symbol of oneness, knowledge, I, which is what the Lord shows. That is the Vedantic sign language. We'll be talking about that sometime through the course of this. So, these are the two M's. Oh, but you said there is a third M. We'll have to come back for that, won't we? Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.